Okay, I'm going to show you guys today how to replace a bearing on a vacuum. These are the bearings we use. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to come in here, make sure the power's off. You're going to unbolt these. Around here, there is a little hex wrench in there. You need to loosen that.
There's two of them.
There's two of them. Make sure they're both loose. And you should be able to kind of pull this thing and bend it a little bit out. Now, you'll probably be able to get this outer part. You'll be able to pop that off, but the inner part is almost always hard. We put anti-seize on the shaft itself, but it's still extremely hard to get off sometimes. So if it is, basically you take a grinder and you kind of cut it at a 45-degree angle and try not to cut the shaft at all.
Yeah, man.
Here's an example of one. Basically we kind of just grinded it until we eventually got it off. So you just grind until you make a little cut, and then you just kind of use screwdriver. We also have this thing called a pulley pusher, I think that's what it's called. And basically you can put it around and kind of use it to pull it off. Make sure you put a bunch of PP blaster on. Try to, like the night before, the day before you actually replace it if possible. Spray it on, it helps to break up the corrosion. So basically that's the hardest part. You pull that off.
Here's the shaft.
Here's the shaft, a good example of how we did it. Basically, you can see you cut it right at about a 45-degree angle or a little less. Cut a couple of different ones. It's on there so you can't get all the way. But basically, you kind of cut it to where you can kind of chip the thing out. So, when we put the new one on, first thing we do is we get anti-seize. I don't know where it is right now, but it's basically a copper-looking stuff. We put it on the shaft itself. That's so when we come to replace this one, it will hopefully be easier to get off. So basically what you do is you're going to slide it on just like this. Make sure these hex nuts are loose and not in. And when you're banging it in, you want to take care, don't bang this. You're only putting pressure right here. This is a bearing, and if you bang this, you're going to rip it off the bearing. So I put it in like this. I use something solid like this, and then I bang until it slowly gets on, until you get it about halfway on, and then you can use the bolts to put in. When you're tightening, get the bolts all on, and as you tighten, do it in a star fashion so that it tighten evenly and you don't get it twisted, because it will break. These things are bearings and they will break. Do 2 pumps of grease when they're all the way on, tighten these hex bolts down, and then turn it on. I usually bump it on at first and turn it off just to kind of make sure it doesn't explode on us, and then we turn it on for good, and hopefully everything's good. And that's how you change a vacuum bearing.